That was the Montagues and Capulets from Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet suite, and it was performed by Isata Kanneh-Mason. I'm Erica Worth, and welcome to this Pianist podcast. Today I am speaking with Isata about her life in music, with a particular emphasis on her new Prokofiev recording on the Decca label. Isata, it's great to have you on the Pianist podcast today.
It's really exciting to be here.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, we're here to discuss your new album, released on the 10th of April, which is called Prokofiev. Now, that's a bit of a surprise to me, as I usually think of you as a real romantic player in terms of repertoire. So why Prokofiev?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I do love the romantic repertoire and the romantic composers, of course, but Prokofiev is one of the most special composers for me and has been for most of my life, I would say. And I think that's also why I felt it was so important to release a Prokofiev album because, as you were saying, you don't necessarily associate me with Prokofiev, but I associate myself with Prokofiev, and so I felt like I wanted to kind of share it with the world. This is like another part of my identity that I feel close to.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you grow up learning a lot of Prokofiev when you were young?
I grew up learning some. I would say it's been a big thing for me from about age 18. And I would say especially the concerto as well. It's one of in my top five favorite piano concertos. And so obviously I wanted to record it. And
Oh, it is. It's exhilarating, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah. And I mean, have you listened to lots of others record it? I know Martha Argerich is one who's played it, recorded it. Or
yes.
did you think, you know what, I'm going to create my own interpretation?
Well, a mixture of both. I mean, of course, you never want to be copying, but Marta Argerich is one of my biggest inspirations. She holds my favorite recording. But I was actually introduced to the piece by a YouTube performance from Yuja Wang, and that's what made me fall in love with the piece. And also when I discovered her as well, kind of all in one go. So
Oh my goodness, she is amazing as well, isn't she?
yes, yeah.
Two amazing women pianists. So the album centerpiece is his Concerto Number Three, which you performed at the BBC Proms as your debut in 2023. How was that experience?
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. I mean, it was definitely one of the most nervous feelings I've had before a concert because it just felt like such a big thing. But then because of that, the adrenaline kind of carried me through the performance.
My goodness, I don't know how you do it. So, so when you're in the performance, you it just lets you go basically.
It's kind of like entering another world or another zone. I can't say that in that concert I stopped fully feeling nervous at any point, but it's kind of nerves mixed with adrenaline and excitement as well. And so you kind of enter kind of a hyper state is the best way I can describe it.
Oh my goodness! And who was which orchestra was it?
It was BBC Now, and it was with Brian Bancroft, which was he's one of my favorite conductors, and he was on the recording. So
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely. Now, on the recording, the concerto is accompanied by solo works, Prokofiev solo works. If you can tell listeners about the pieces you've chosen.
yes, so there's his third piano sonata that finishes the album actually, and the start of the album has the Prokofiev toccata. There's also a prelude in C major, nicknamed the Harp Prelude, not very well known, but I played
No.
that one when I was younger actually, so came back to it, and then some excerpts from his ballets, so Romeo and Juliet and Cinderella and The Love for Three Oranges as well.
Oh, how wonderful. I mean, the prelude, I don't think I'd heard before. That's just magical, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's for some reason not, I mean, it's quite an early work and people just don't tend to know it, but I think it's a very charming piece and I think it shows a different side of Prokofiev, which I wanted to do on the album as well.
Okay, so that could be really good repertoire for somebody who's maybe not too advanced technically.
Yeah, I mean, I actually learnt that piece as an 11-year-old, so it was one of my childhood pieces. So it's not a technically demanding piece. It's a piece that yeah, it's just very charming, very playful, and has moments that sound like a harp, which is why it's often called the harp prelude.
Oh, okay. And then, of course, you've got the famous Romeo and Juliet suite, which everybody loves, the Montagues and the Capulets.
Yes, nice to have some famous stuff on there as well. And
Absolutely. No,
yeah.
it sounds amazing. I've listened to it. And this being is your latest album, but it reminds me very much of your recent Mendelssohn album in that the main work is Felix's Concerto Number One, and then the solo works by him and his sister Fanny. I mean, that's a lovely idea for a program, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice combining those two composers together on that album. And then on this one, I enjoyed kind of just exploring Prokofiev, but exploring different moods of Prokofiev in one album.
Absolutely. I mean, Fanny Mendelssohn, she was great, wasn't she? I mean, some of her compositions are beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially for me, her songs and her string quartets is my favorite of her music. Yeah, the
Oh,
C minor.
right. Okay, interesting. And I'm just trying to think. You appeared on the cover of Pianist magazine in 2019 when you'd made your debut album for Decca with an album focusing on the Schumanns called Romance. And that's a lovely program idea as well. And that was your first album. What made you decide on that choice of repertoire?
Well, I first heard of Clara Schumann, I heard her piano concerto first, which I thought was a very impressive and beautiful piece. And also her Scherzo number two. I think those were the two works that drew me into her music. And so the thought of doing kind of a composer profile on her just felt very important. I didn't know that many recordings of her works. And actually, that's the last time I did a whole album on one composer. So this Prokofiev's the second time that I've done a whole album on just one composer.
Oh, wait a minute. But Robert and Clara, they were both on the album, weren't they?
I thought it was just Clara Schumann, but maybe
Maybe it is.
I think
Excuse
it's
me, I'm sure
just
I'm
Clara
wrong.
Schumann.
All right. Apologies there.
No, that's
Um,
fine.
but Clara somehow had, she's kind of like surfaced, hasn't she? People realise now what a great composer she was.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I think she's really exploded, and there's more recordings of the piano concerto. And I mean, there were, of course, recordings before. I'm not saying mine was the first one or anything.
No.
But I do feel like there's been an even greater boom in the last few years of her music.
Yes. And women composers in general, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's
exactly, exactly.
that's good. Um, but now I'm going back to your cover interview again that you did with us. My goodness, that's 7 years ago now, Isata.
So long ago.
And I remember you saying that you were quite glad you didn't win BBC Young Musician at the time, even if you got through to the finals. You said
Mhm.
you felt you needed more time to develop. Was that true in the end?
It was true in the end, but it wasn't true at the time. It was true in retrospect, I
Yes.
would say. At the time, it felt like the biggest failure of my life. But I was also a 16, 17-year-old who had only thought of one method of kind of building a career. And then, of course, years went by and I realized I was grateful for how things turned out.
Oh, and at that point, were you at the junior academy at the Royal Academy? Were you at junior
Yes,
department? Yes,
junior department, still living at home,
in
still at
Nottingham.
school. Yeah, in
Yes,
Nottingham.
going backwards and forwards.
Yes.
How interesting. So when did it all? Obviously, you didn't win, and you were disappointed, and then you worked super hard. When did it all come together for you? Then, you know, you've secured one of the world's top agents, and you've got this recording contract with Decca. How did that all come about?
Well, that actually started with the Clara Schumann that we were discussing before. So that project um, kind of solidified things, and that's when I started working with Decca and with my agency. And I was performing with my brother Sheku for a few years before that. So that was also the start of performing more internationally. But I would say as a soloist, it was with the Clara Schumann.
Oh, yes. Okay. Of course, you were performing with Shaku, weren't you?
Yes.
Oh, and I mean you know, you've got an amazing agent, Catherine Endicott.
Yeah, she's really, really wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. And does she helps you with your career choices, with your repertoire choices?
I think I get suggestions from her and also from Joe, who's on the team. But also it largely comes from me, I would say, which is really lovely. I kind of say, oh, I'd love to learn this, I'd love to learn that. And we have a discussion, kind of a back and forth discussion.
Oh, interesting. And of course, do your
Yeah.
parents get involved with any of this?
No, not at all. I think, well, they might be. I don't think they get involved in the sense that they'll come to all of our concerts that they can. And
Yes.
whenever I'm learning something new, particularly my dad will get so invested in the piece that I'm learning and kind of get to know it back to front so that he can kind of give me lessons on it, which is so, so helpful. But they definitely don't have a say in the repertoire choices.
That's amazing. But your father, he's not a musician though, is he? Or is he?
He's not a musician, but he played the piano to quite a high standard into
Oh,
his adult life. And he's always
okay.
been very musical. He's just never done it professionally. But he definitely has an ear that, he can sit and listen to a concerto I'm performing and pick out very, very detailed things that I'm missing. So it's very useful.
That's interesting. And your mother, she was your first teacher. Was she your first piano teacher?
Yes, I mean, I think my dad helped me as well, but she really sat with me in the early stages and kind of, yes, I remember her really kind of listening to everything I was doing and helping me because she played the piano as well.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I have to ask you, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, what's it like to be in, one of seven siblings? Seven?
Yeah,
I got it right.
you got it right.
One of seven siblings in a very
Yeah.
famous musical family. Um, do you learn
Yeah.
from each other?
We do learn from each other. Yeah, we support each other, we play to each other, we give each other lessons, we go to each other's concerts. And I think we also keep each other grounded because our household was always just very chaotic and noisy and full of games and fun. And whenever we're back together, that energy comes back out. And so, yeah, kind of grounds us.
That's fantastic. I mean, you grew up in Nottingham, which is my hometown as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I know it's great. What were your studies like there? I mean, back then.
I mean, I was extremely lucky with my schools. I went to Walter Hall's primary school and Trinity secondary school, and they both had head teachers that loved music. So the music departments were amazing. And so I had a really great education there.
Okay.
And yeah, I always love going back to Nottingham. I love when I get to play at the concert hall. I think it's one of the
Oh,
best ones in the UK there.
really? I remember that
Definitely,
concert
yeah.
hall. Wow. Do you think the education is the same there today? Have things changed?
Things have sadly changed. I mean, at Trinity, my secondary school, the music teachers there are working so hard to keep the music education alive. They've lost so much funding, and so it's definitely not as easy as it was back in the day. But I think there are still very dedicated and loyal people there who kind of keep things going, and so they still have concerts and music groups. But it's definitely got harder.
Oh, I'm sure. And you have since moved to London. You're living in London full time.
Yes.
And your siblings, are they all over the place, or mainly in London, or still in Nottingham?
Actually, mainly in London. There's five of us in London now, just two left in Nottingham, and one of them's about to leave home to come to London in September. So it's dwindling in Nottingham.
Oh, oh, your parents are still there, of course.
Yeah, they have
In
to
this,
still be there. Well, they don't have to, but
oh, it's a great city. Um, so from Nottingham, you went to the junior department at the Royal Academy in London,
Mm.
and you've had some wonderful teachers there. I know you then did your you postgrad there as well, your undergrad and
Yeah,
postgrad.
I did both. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you studied with the late Hamish Milne, who was a wonderful pianist.
Yes. He was so incredible. I had an amazing 3 years. I was lucky to have the last 3 years that he was teaching, actually. So I'm so glad I got to study with him.
Oh, how wonderful! What do you think he taught you? Some the unique things he taught you.
He really taught me to I think he really opened me up. I think when I came to the academy, I had quite a shyness about my playing, and so I held back a lot of my expressiveness. And he would just help me to see music in a different way. He would kind of say, what's the point of this phrase? Why this? Why that? And really made me kind of look at things in a much deeper way, which as a young person I really needed.
Oh, and you say you had a shyness. Is that just in your personality, or maybe yeah, it is your
Yeah,
personality.
which has got less with age, but I think particularly as a teenager, I think I went into my shell kind of throughout my teenage years, and then it kind of took my 20s to kind of come out of that shell, which I think is common for many people, but that's definitely something that kind of how you are personally can affect how you play, I think.
How interesting. And I guess all your siblings that you're all different characters, some extroverts, some introverts.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of us present as quite introverted publicly, but at home would be considered extroverts.
That's
And
quite normal. I think you're right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
How
Exactly.
interesting.
Mm.
Um, your mother, she was raised in Sierra Leone and Wales, right? And then
Mhm.
your father, though born in the UK, is of Antiguan descent. So there's a real melting pot of cultures there.
Yes. I love that phrase.
I know it really melting pot.
Yeah, yes, melting pot of cultures. That's just
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's so exciting. Obviously, it's important to you, this heritage.
Yeah, it's really important because I think you feel like you're fully all of those things. So I think growing up, sometimes it's like, oh, am I split between all of these heritages? And you're confused about your identity. And now I feel like it creates a richness in my life and in the cultures that I have and the way I can approach music because I feel like I have kind of I have, Britishness and Antigua and Sierra Leone, Welsh, like all of that feels like it feeds my identity, which feels like such a gift.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, how did you end up in Nottingham? How did your parents end up in Nottingham?
I think it was through work. I mean, they met at
Okay.
Southampton
Oh,
University
okay.
and, they lived in various places. And then my dad had a job, in East Midlands Airport and they moved to
Oh,
Nottingham. And then they say you never know where you're going to settle. So they didn't know they were going to stay in Nottingham, but they just have.
no. Oh, that's amazing. I remember also being in Antigua some years back when you and your family were there. It was great following you around, seeing you perform and being part of the community. I believe you're involved in a program there.
Yeah, it's the Antigua and Barbuda Youth Symphony Orchestra, and it started in kind of 2017, and because there wasn't much classical music on the island, and in the last nearly 10 years, they've built up this youth orchestra, and we go every year and help out. And there's loads of young, talented musicians in Antigua that kind of just waiting for this opportunity, I think.
Isn't that amazing? You go every year.
Every year, yeah, it'll be the 10-year anniversary next year, I think.
Fantastic. Oh, that's
Nice. Yeah.
wonderful. Gosh, so maybe there'll be some great talent coming out of there, or already is coming out of there.
Yeah, already is, and I hope if they have, enough long-term infrastructure, then it can continue. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you seem to be really busy, Isata. I mean, just that alone, putting that aside in your calendar, in your diary. Are you busy? Do you have to structure your time? How much time do you practice every day? Are you quite organized?
Yeah, I think I am organized. I think I see myself as chaotic, but everyone around me, like my siblings and friends, say that I'm organized. So I've had to accept that. But I think I have the help of people. I mean, Catherine and people in the agency, we sit down and have meetings and really map out the schedule. And so that's all kind of mapped out and
Mm.
done very meticulously. And then I just always have a day plan, I suppose. I
Do
find it very
you?
difficult to not have a day plan. So I
Do
know
you?
when
Yeah.
I'm practicing and when I'm relaxing. That's how
Oh
I
my
do
goodness. How many
it.
hours? What's a good practice day for you like? How many hours?
Good is 5,
Oh my,
intense is 6, and then medium is 4,
oh
and
my
then chilling is 2.
Good is fine. That's a good number of hours. That sounds quite good actually. And do you prefer the morning or the evening, or it really doesn't matter?
I actually prefer the morning because I wake up with kind of a fresh brain, it feels like, with more clarity. And then throughout the day, distractions come in
Hmm.
and I become more drained. And I get
Yes.
bursts of inspiration in the evening as well. But morning, I always try to get as much done before lunch so that it takes the pressure off the rest of the day.
Wow. Okay. And do you, um, where you live, you don't bother the neighbors?
Well, I have a piano that it's an acoustic piano, but I got a silent system fitted. I don't know if you know one of those where
Of
yeah, you kind
course.
of move a lever and so I go back and forth a couple of hours out loud, a couple of hours with headphones.
Oh my goodness.
That's
That's
how I do.
clever. That's
Yeah.
clever. But when you play out loud, do you get it? For example, my neighbors love it when I play. I don't know why, but do you get neighbors saying, "Oh, that was wonderful," or do you know your neighbors?
Yeah, I do know my neighbors, and the only comment I've ever had is, "Oh, is there a piano in your house? Please play more."
Oh, yes, isn't that
Yeah,
lovely?
which is so nice.
Isn't
So
that
really
lovely?
lucky.
Oh, that's great. So, I mean, this year, where are we now? We're still in the
I
25,
know.
26 season.
Don't know
I,
where we are.
I know. Oh my goodness. What are you up to? Anything exciting coming up, or you've got loads of concerts, or I don't know. Fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, a few things coming up. My next thing, I'm going to Prague for the first time,
Ooh,
doing Rack 3 with the Czech Radio Orchestra. So I'm really excited about that because it's like a first time going there and one of my favorite concertos as well. And then just more solo recitals and chamber music going into the summer, some with my siblings and some by myself.
lovely. Oh, that sounds great. So, any new repertoire on the cards, recording wise, or you know?
Recording wise, I don't fully know yet. I know that I am working on certain pieces for the next couple of years. In terms of new pieces, I'm going to learn the Gershwin in F for next year. That will be the next. That and Mozart 27 are the next new concertos to kind of add to the bank. So I'm excited about
Lovely.
those.
Lovely. Well, you sound very organised, Isata. You do. I think that's
Oh
great.
gosh.
You really do. Anyway, what I'm going to do as we're nearing the end of our lovely conversation is I'm going to ask you some really light-hearted questions. If you could just answer me out of the blue, what comes
Yes,
out,
off
that
the
would be
cuff.
great. Okay, the first question. If you could play only one composer from now on, who would it be?
Beethoven.
And why might that be?
I mean, my favorite composer is Rachmaninoff, but I just think for the rest of my life, I have all the Beethoven sonatas, concertos, chamber music. I just think that would be more satisfying if I could only play him lifelong.
Of course, and it's a hard question, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's a good answer. Um,
Yes.
one pianist, dead or alive, you would travel long and far to hear.
Rachmaninoff.
Oh, yeah.
Because to hear him live, because he's not alive. I mean, alive, Marta Argerich, but dead, Rachmaninoff.
Yes, okay. I can understand that too. What makes you love his playing so much?
It's just it's so alive. It's so spontaneous and crisp and clear. And I just find that fascinating.
Yes. And I guess that's the same with Martha Argerich, isn't it? She's also alive and crystal clear.
Yeah, so actually, that's clearly what I like.
Very exciting.
Yes, yes.
Oh, one person, dead or alive, you would like to play for?
Probably Chopin. He is meant to be a fantastic teacher. He could help me with my any technical thing, I think.
Really?
Mm,
Excellent. Well,
mm.
my next question was, do you have any technical struggles?
I would say everything is a challenge if you don't have enough time.
That's a very good answer.
But if you have enough time, I think everything can be worked out.
Really?
Yeah, that's my answer to that.
Wow. Even double thirds in prestissimo tempo.
Yeah, if you've got enough time to practice the passage, but if you've got to cram it in a month, then it's stressful.
Ah, very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. And what would be your advice to an amateur pianist about how to improve?
Record yourself and listen back. So revealing.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You're not the first person that said that. That's,
Mm.
yeah. Okay, and if you weren't a pianist, what would you be?
Ooh, hip hop dancer. Assuming
Really?
I can start my life again or
Oh,
train for 10 years from now.
oh,
I'm
I
not saying I
see.
can do it to a professional level.
Oh, can you not? A, li-
No, I
a
I
little
just
bit.
I thought you meant in a parallel universe.
Well, no, you're right. If you could, yeah, no, I think that sounds
If
great.
I can have the time to train, hip hop dancer.
But I bet you dance a little, don't you?
A little.
You look quite balletic. You do.
I was never good at ballet, but I do like hip hop.
Okay, okay. And finally, the last question: one composer you're not quite ready to tackle.
Publicly, Bach.
Mm,
Mm.
why?
Mm.
Too.
No, no, no. Publicly, I think, just because I don't know if I have my voice in Bach yet.
Okay.
That's why. I
Mm,
think I need to discover that before performing him.
yes. Well, you've got a long time to do.
Yes. And anything is possible with enough time,
Of
therefore,
course, you can pace it. You're
you can
still
pace
very young.
it.
You're still.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
29, 29.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, when are you
Yes.
30?
2 months' time. So
Oh,
I'm grasping on to my last 2 months of my 20s.
oh, well, make the
Yes.
most. Make the most.
Yeah.
But listen, Isata, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yes, you too. It really has. Thank you.
Oh, time has flown by, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. That was Prokofiev's Prelude Opus 12 Number 7, and it was performed by Isata Kanneh-Mason. Pianist podcasts are free, and a really good way to support what we do is by subscribing to Pianist. Visit our website at pianistmagazine.com and listen to us on YouTube by searching Pianist Magazine. And don't forget to sign up to our newsletter, which is full of extra playing tips and useful information. Go to pianistmagazine.com to find out how to sign up.